The Sidebar is brought to you by Tresvant Manor.
I'm Eric Barnes with the Daily Memphian, and welcome to The Sidebar, a weekly show on the community, arts, culture, and more. Today we're talking to Rory Thomas, president of the Memphis Medical District Collaborative. So stay with us for a conversation with Rory. Rory, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are, if people are listening, we're in the central atrium of the, what's it called, Crosstown Concourse. And as we were flooded out of our office and our podcast studio some weeks ago, thanks with your patience. There may be people walking by. Last time we did one up here, there were some workmen with drills. I mean, anything could happen, but it's all good. So thanks.
Oh, glad to be here.
We were talking before we got started. You're 2.5 years, 3 years into the job?
Started in June of 2021.
Yeah. And tell people, let's back up. For people who don't know, because it's a big name and people, I think, know where the medical district is, but the collaborative, not everyone knows the work and purpose of the organization.
Right. Well, it kind of starts back in 2014. The Hyatt Family Foundation, of course, does so much for Memphis, commissioned this study with a few three advisors out of Philadelphia to see, could this type of collaborative work happen? Number of collaboratives, mainly in the Northeast and Midwest, that have been very successful. So Boston, Philly, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit. And the whole premise of it is, hey, you have these major institutions that we call anchors, typically your hospitals and colleges who own a lot of land, employ a lot of people, destination for students, curate arts and culture. What if these entities came together to collaborate and make it a better place to live, work, learn, and play for the employees, for the students, for the surrounding residents, and the hundreds and thousands of guests coming in? So in 2016, the organization officially got started with 8 major anchor institutions who have been really responsible for the work that's taking place in the district to make it a better place to live, work, learn, and play. Says a lot as well for all these entities to be here 8 years later, but want to increase housing in the district, want to make sure our public spaces are great, make sure that our streets, we have a lot of pedestrians walking around, that we do streetscape improvements, and also for the surrounding neighborhood. So with the study that took place in 2014, it showed in the medical district we had about 30,000 residents. In 2014, it showed, well, in the 70s, 30,000 residents. 2014, less than 10,000 residents, 2/3 African-American, 41% living below the poverty line. So how do we get them living wage jobs at the hospitals for more economic mobility opportunities? So that's kind of the whole premise of the organization, making it a clean and inviting place, and something that, the medical district really affects not just the city, but this entire region. So if you have a sick child, you're coming into Le Bonheur, people all over the world are coming into St. Jude. So really, really important place for our region.
And so 10 years, it's weird that it's 10 years from that. I mean, because I remember your predecessor, Tommy Pacella,
yes.
Amazing guy, and who passed away tragically a couple years ago,
yes.
Way too young an age, had such an influence on the medical district and so much of streetscapes and urban planning and all that in Memphis. 10 years later, what do you point to as successes? What has not gone the way you wanted, and everything in between?
Well, just share. I mean, it's blessed to be able to come in to this organization, the great foundation that Tommy laid, Abby Miller, and other members of the team. So really, really great foundation to be able to come into and help the organization continue with some momentum that we're doing in the medical district. I would say some of the big successes would be, first, our ambassadors. That a lot of people, as we talk about, like, hey, where's the medical district? And say, hey, where the hospitals are, and what do you all do? We point to these 10 men and women who are out every day cleaning up the district, making it a clean and inviting place. So those are really the faces of the organization. So all the things that they do to, get all the litter and remove weeds, the 200-something planters that we have around the medical district, that's a major success. So really having this great, clean, and inviting place is something that we like to point to as well. The private investment that has come into the medical district. So it's been about $497 million in public-private investments in the medical district, not counting the big investments that our anchor institutions are making. So
really? So that doesn't include like the big new tower at Le Bonheur.
Wow. Not. So you think about Orleans Station, you think about just all these major investments that are taking place. since 2016 in the medical district. On the workforce side of things, again, something being a lifelong Memphian as well, passionate about the people. So the place is nothing without the people. So the work that we're able to do in these surrounding neighborhoods to get residents who may have had challenges as well, to get them jobs and trained at no cost and stipends at all the hospitals so that they can continue to grow and, purchase homes and really make a difference in their communities where they already live makes a big difference. The businesses that we've been able to recruit coming into the medical district, we had over 50 businesses coming to the district, and then with a big focus on minority and women-owned businesses, especially given the data that shows minority and women-owned businesses tend to hire more minorities than women. So given the demographics of Memphis, makes a lot of sense.
Minority, majority, or whatever the phrase is. But yeah, right. Majority black city, majority female city.
Right.
Let's walk through some. That's awesome. Let's peel some of those back. Like the hundreds of millions in investment. I mean, Orleans Station is one that maybe more people have seen. It's all the new apartments, kind of townhome-looking apartments, right in the heart of it, along the trolley line. Hopefully, someday that trolley line will be reactivated. And some retail that went in there. That the Turley family, Turley Development Company did that with, I think, some other partners. That was a huge win, right? I assume, and maybe one of the most visible wins that people will drive by, see, and hopefully experience.
100%. So for those anchor institutions, they have about 23,000 employees, and found out less than 2% of their employees actually live in a medical district. Most people would love to live close to where they work, but if you don't have the right housing stock, availability becomes challenges. So having the Orleans Station, 372 new units coming into the district, 16,000 feet of retail space. So your Sun Yoga, French Truck Coffee is open, Rockin' Dough opening up, continues to make it more of a destination for people. And then also for those surrounding, for the anchor institutions, the students like at UT, being able to just walk over to where they live now. Then all the things that we're doing for multimodal things with the group on demand and so forth. But that is a big game changer for the medical district, having a project such as Orleans Station there.
And again, we're if you came in late, we're talking to Rory Thomas. He's president of the Memphis Medical District Collaborative, which is, I guess it's 10 years from the study, and then it's 8 years from the establishment, was 2016. Exactly. Yeah. The things you wish, things you need, things that didn't go the way they were supposed to, things you would like to do better as you look forward another 8-10 years. I mean, where did you not achieve all the goals you wanted to achieve?
Well, I would share, we want to make sure, there's 6 neighborhoods that, and you think about most of your institutions are kind of more edge Victorian Village. Yeah. But we also, St. Jude, Uptown, Pinch District, a little bit on the south side of our boundaries, Methodist University, Southwest Tennessee Community College, so that Peabody Vance, going a little bit more east there on Madison, Southern College Optometry. So we did a vacant property audit a year or two ago, and we found out most of the vacancy is kind of around this edge district, so the Uptown, Peabody Vance, Madison Heights, Peabody Vance area. That's really where we want to spur more investment. So as an example, we're going to be opening up soon enough a satellite office, working with Mitchell Consulting, Tangent Mitchell there in the Pinch District to kind of put our stake there to share residents.
Pinch is part of your, and that's a tough situation there. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of investment coming from St. Jude, Alsac, and so on, but in terms of new, there's a property owner who owns a lot of stuff that's just been sitting there, and that's a tough one.
Right. Well, that's part of it while we're here. Work with our anchor institutions, work with partners that are already there doing great work. And how do we, invest more there? So whether it is sidewalk improvements, us having a presence. So, we have this higher local program. So residents there know about what's taking place. Or if you want to put a business there or have a development, we're there physically be able to share, here's pre-development grants, here's improvement grants. We have this big medical district investment fund that's available. So really putting more emphasis in those surrounding areas.
That was going to ask about that. So the incentives, the grants, that money comes from the anchor partners. That's public money. That's what?
Yeah. So we're a 501c3. So it's all donation based, which is the great thing with these organizations. They don't have to be a part of this. Contributing, the Hyde Foundation, Kresge Foundation, Kevin Wilson's Foundation, but also now the corporations, FedEx, AutoZone, and others who see the value in making sure that they're investing in the medical district because of the impact that it can have on the city and entire region. 501c3. So those grants that we're able to give, the $5,000 grants for pre-development, you see a space, you need to get the architectural drawings done, or now you sign the lease. Now you want to do improvements to the space, facade, signage, and so forth. You can get up to $25,000. We have a we have a program-related investment, basically a low-cost loan program where we can lend at 3-4% up to $100,000 for businesses. And then the Medical District Investment Fund, where 3 major banks, Regions, Truist, First Horizon, all contributed $10 million to spur more inclusive development within the district. So a suite of programs, right. But those grants purely come from the donations and support from our anchor institutions and foundations.
I referenced obliquely, I know in the pinch, there's an out-of-town owner. I want to make sure I say clear. We don't have to name names right now. Just search Daily Memphian, who owns a lot of property there. But just in general, not specific to any specific property owner, because I don't want to, this is not behind the headlines. I don't need to put you on the spot. What can you do? I mean, all this investment has happened, and anyone who's spent any time in the medical district over time has seen this. There was also the big Wonder Bread factory development that brought a bunch of residents or restaurants. It's more walkable. It's just more attractive. All these things I've experienced them. But then there's still the vacant lots, which must drive you insane. So you can't force someone to build. You can wave these incentives in front of them. Is it coaxing, pleading, explaining, just one by one, owner by owner? I mean, is that what it comes down to?
Some of it does. Some of it is, again, us coming on shows like this and really getting the word out even more about what's taking place in the district. So hey, if you've owned this property that's been blighted or vacated for a while, to see the growth that's taking place, us to take you on a tour of the district to see, hey, if you are investing, there could be a great return on investment for you. And then also continue to work with our partners to be able to connect with the right people. And as you kind of mentioned, hey, try to push people to do a little bit more.
You're really good at this. You're really positive about this. This is good.
But it's a challenge. So you want to, be able to look up and, you kind of say a good to great, big audacious goal. In which, we can look up 5 years from now and we don't have the vacancy. We have the right type of housing. We have the number of businesses. And the medical district is one of the most sought after places to live, work, learn, and play in this entire Southeast region.
More questions on that, but I'm going to take a minute here to do some housekeeping. Again, we're with Rory Thomas, the president of the Memphis Medical District Collaborative. I'm Eric Barnes, and this is the Sidebar. It airs on WYXR 91.7 every Thursday at 11, focused on the community, arts, culture, everything in between. It's also one of many weekly podcasts we do at the Daily Memphian. We have the Memphis Grizzlies podcast. We have the Memphis Tigers podcast. We have our food podcast, Soundbites, with Chris Harrington and Holly Whitfield. That also airs on WYXR every Thursday at 11, right before the Sidebar. All of our podcasts are on the Daily Memphian site, as well as iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get this show and Soundbites, the food show, on WYXR.org or download the WYXR app. It includes all the shows on WYXR, all the talk shows, all the music shows, all the archives of them going back, I can't remember how far. And I should say that you should consider supporting WYXR. It's nonprofit, listener-supported radio. Become a member, donate what you can. You can do all that on the app or on the site. And the Daily Memphian also is a nonprofit, the largest newsroom in the region. And if you're not a paid subscriber, we hope you would consider doing so or donating to our 501c3 newsroom. Coming up soon, Lauren Kennedy, who was formerly at Urban Arts Commission and has since opened a gallery in the medical district. Recently we had on Sidebar, Lakeisha Edwards, the new head of Urban Arts Commission, and there's a lot of overlap in terms of the streetscape, and we may talk about that with Rory. We also had Serena Wages on, talking about her upcoming album, and we had Tim Barker some weeks ago now, who was in it was basically my eulogy with Tim to Edge Alley, one of the great restaurants, really in Memphis, and it was in the medical district. And after 7 years, he closed it for reasons that were really interesting and fascinating, and he certainly closed on top. That all those are available wherever you get your podcasts, or YXR or Daily Memphian. I think somewhere at some point I mentioned Behind the Headlines, which we do with the folks at WKNO every Friday. Coming up soon, I think this week, we have Paul Young, part of 2 episodes we're doing with Paul Young, the new mayor. And we recently had Steve Mulroy, the Shelby County District Attorney, on, as well as Kevin Ritz, the U.S. Attorney, on. More coming up on Behind the Headlines, obviously. Last thing before we get back to Rory, our Women in Business Seminar is coming up on February 28th, 3:30 at the Botanic Garden. You go to Eventbrite, search for Daily Memphian. You can come to that. It's always the best of the various business seminars we do. Carol Collette will be on the panel, Pat Mitchell-Worley from Saks Soulsville, and Chloe Sexton of Bluff Cakes. Again, that's February 28th. 3:30 at the Botanic Garden. Natalie, what else is happening on February 28th? Talking to the producer. I can't remember. There's something else happening on February 28th. Someone has a birthday. It's a birthday for me. That is all February 28th. But we're back to Rory Thomas, president of the Memphis Medical District Collaborative. We talk about Paul Young, and I remember the first time I met Paul, I think the first time I met him, he was legislative assistant to former county mayor
Luttrell.
Luttrell, yeah. Mm-hmm. But then he got into the kind of work you do. He started doing. He went to school with Tommy Pacello and John Zena, who's at OP, Office of Planning Development. Sutton Mora, who's head of, or the number 2 person at Community Foundation, but works on a lot of these sort of issues. It's kind of that urban planning mafia, right? That is really focused on the street level, block by block, building by building improvements in Memphis. And so Paul was at, where was he? He was Housing and Community Development. Then he was over at the DMC and now mayor. If he was sitting here today, and I don't know, have you talked to him since he won?
Yes, know Paul well.
You know Paul well, okay.
He's been on our board.
Yeah, okay, right, because of the DMC connection.
Right,
You've worked with him a ton, right. What would you like to see from the new administration that would help, selfishly, like be fully selfish, that would help? But the Memphis Medical District is for all of Memphis, so it's not that selfish. What would you like to see from the new administration?
Well, definitely for Paul. I mean, he's awesome. Just really excited about his leadership and the work and everything it's going to bring to the Memphis area. And I think for us as well, just obviously working with our hospitals and our colleges in the medical district, and just thinking about the shortage of healthcare workers that facing all over the country. The New York Times had a piece a couple of weeks ago. I think the title was "Hospitals are desperate for workers. They may find them in high schools." So just shared about Bloomberg Philanthropies investing about $250 million in 10 cities, including Philadelphia, Boston, Nashville as well, to be able to get young people, 11 and 12th graders, into healthcare careers. So as soon as they graduate from high school, the next week they could start a career. So they could be becoming EKG technicians while they're in high school and getting careers there. But I think that's one thing as we talk about workforce is a big emphasis everywhere. Chamber, everyone about our workforce, and just knowing, of course, being a lifelong Memphian as well, of just the importance of being able to address poverty and economic mobility opportunities for families. Just see this as a big opportunity for us to be able to invest in our young people. So we've kind of done something with the Memphis Shelby County schools and also some charter schools as well on a much smaller scale called our Career Lunch Academy, where this past summer we took 43 students who, some who were graduating from high school said they may not be going to college, and then also some who will become seniors. We did career exploration for them, but for those who graduated in May, in June they started into a CNA program with us. And over about 8 weeks, they were able to get their certification. We actually paid them $15 an hour while they were going through training. And at the end, they were guaranteed an interview at the hospital. So we had a number of them placed at Methodist and Baptist. So just imagining, and all at a living wage. So you're graduating from high school, now you're into your career, You have full benefits, 401k, all the tuition reimbursement and so forth. So now you're there in this position. You see the mobility opportunity. So now I want to move to an LPN or RN. So now you can go to Southwest, get an AS in nursing. You can go to UT or Baptist, get your Bachelor of Science in nursing. Just see that we have these world-class hospitals, this world-class medical with St. Jude and Methodist. Steve Jobs got treated there, Le Bonheur, Regional One, all the great work. Yeah. Just seeing a lot of opportunity there. That's something that we could really scale up and put Memphis on that level to provide, become just an even greater healthcare city.
Are there more tools that's great. Are there more tools, and this will be a question I'll ask Paul this week or whenever he's on the show soon on Behind the Headlines, is, he's been in the kind of adjacent sort of work to what you do, that street level work. I'm curious for him, are there tools that he now has as mayor around things like blight and around things like vacant and untended properties that he wasn't able to turn the dial on at DMC or at Housing Community Development or as a board member at MMDC? Do you think there are tools? And are there tools you would like to see him turn the dial on? And again, we're not picking on any property owner. You love all your property owners in your area, I'm sure. But I mean, are there tools that really like street level, property level that perhaps the mayor can do, especially a mayor, again, who comes out of this background?
Yeah, I think so. And some of it, you think about like, hey, broken windows theory. Yeah. So you think about, again, kind of like just with our ambassadors, kind of having clean and inviting places. So cleanliness of our city, obviously plays a big role. Just some of the things that we're doing as relates to, think about sidewalks. Like until I got into this role, just didn't really recognize the importance of those major, walkways for people. So I would see, hey, people in wheelchairs in the street. They do not want to be in the street, but if your sidewalks and infrastructure is crumbled there, they have no choice. So making that, even more appealing, it would be a big thing as well, too. I think as well, just the recruitment of businesses, especially minority and women-owned businesses. That growth, I think, is a key benefit for us, as it has been in the medical district. Of the 11 new businesses that opened up, 10 were minority or woman-owned. So I know you mentioned Lauren coming on with She Cake, so as an example. So I think those are some key things to be able to do.
With a couple minutes left here, you talked about being lifelong Memphian. And what led you to like your path, which I didn't know until we were riding the elevator up here. And I should say for people coming late, because we did have a dog, right? We just had a dog barking, or we had some kind of noise. We're in the central atrium at Crosstown. We were flooded out of our world headquarters of the Daily Memphian about a month ago now. And so we're sort of floating around, but doing most of the podcasts. Floating, but not in the water, thankfully, in Crosstown. So there's some noise and people and elevators going off. But as we were riding the elevator up, I didn't know you were a CBU grad, and I didn't know you came out of finance. So tell that story, and how that led the natural progression to doing what you do now. Right?
Well, I've always been good at numbers, so I just figured like, hey, investment banking would be the thing. So majored in finance at Christian Brothers and had my internship at Morgan Stanley. So thinking about this long investment banking career. And then it turned out I was going to have to move to Atlanta. And didn't want to do that. I really wanted to be able to work in Memphis and serve family, but just realizing, the potential and the greatness of our city. So got a position to work in financial analysis to kind of do it for a nonprofit, development agency. And then now, 15 years later, kind of been in the community development and really just being blessed to be in a position to serve and help make our city better.
Yeah. I mentioned shows recently did Northside High School, now Northside Square, that Rashawn and Archie Willis, and always full disclosure, Rashawn's a board member of Daily Memphian. But those it's not in the medical district, but that's a similar. You must know Rashawn to some degree.
Of course,
yeah. I mean, it's a very similar background. She was in banking, and then she got into community development, and now she's a developer, and again, that sort of block by block, street by street work of improving neighborhoods and doing it holistically. It was a great conversation with her and Archie about you can't just build a nice new building. You've also got to sort of make it work for the whole neighborhood.
Exactly.
There've got to be opportunities. If you just do the bright, shiny building and you don't do the sidewalks and you don't have the economic opportunities, that's the whole vision, right?
Right. I mean, you want to improve neighborhoods. So you just don't want to have this, one-off location here. You want to make sure that everyone is investing, but also that those residents there who live there, they're able, as it prospers, they're able to share into the prosperity as well, what's taking place as you redevelop neighborhoods. So tremendous things that they're doing. Roshan, Archie, we look to them for a lot of advice as well for the great things that they've done, mixed income, affordable housing, really great model, really great to the impact that they're having in Memphis.
I probably don't have enough time to go into all the other things. So I'm going to leave it there. And the question I always ask people when they come on the show, if I remember, which is I usually do, was the first concert you went to?
First concert? Oh, gosh. It may have been an old Jay-Z concert at the Mid-South Coliseum.
Oh, God, that's good. That's a first Jay-Z, right? I don't remember a Jay-Z. That's good. You should just say that.
I think it was like after a Tyson fight or something. I think it was on something on Showtime. And I remember missing, time has passed, but remember missing class to be one of the first to get in line to buy some tickets.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure you did just fine in school. It sounds like you did very well in college and grad school. So you miss a class. Sometimes you have other priorities.
Right. Don't tell my kids.
All right, Rory, thanks for being here. Rory Thomas,
thanks for having me.
The president of Memphis Medical District Collaborative. You can learn much more about all the programs they're doing, successes they're doing at their website as well. We just did a big article on it as well. But that is all the time we have this week. Again, coming up next, I think it's next week or in the coming weeks, Lauren Kennedy, who we mentioned, who just opened a gallery in the medical district. We recently had Lakeisha Edwards on, who Urban Art Commission, which has obviously done a lot of work there, and other folks. But that is all the time. If you missed any of it, you can get the full podcast of the show, the Daily Memphian site, WYXR, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.